All right, so We Need Answers podcast, episode 108. We out here on this November night, this cold November night. We back though. It's been a minute, but I'm back in here. Got my man again. My return with my guy Moody. You know, we did our first one. I think it was a real wire. That was that last year or the year before. That was last year.
Yeah, it was last year.
Last year, yeah. So I'm gonna make
summer.
sure I put that back up there so y'all check that one out too. But today, we hitting on something more specific this time. We gonna hit a lot of topics, but today we gonna talk about this book more importantly. No Justice, No Peace. My guy, is already out?
Yep, it just dropped October 11th.
Okay, just dropped this book, and it's an excellent book. We gonna talk about everything in here, from the images to the people he got in here, and to the history in here. We gonna talk about all that. We touched on a little bit of all of that last time about Gordon Parks and all that. Mm-hmm. We gonna hit some more specific points today. But first of all, we set this up last week. If y'all ain't make it to the Welcome to the Trap House party, make sure y'all catch the next one. It's definitely gonna be another one. But my guy came, supported like always, and as soon as he seen me, he said, "We gotta talk about this new book. I ain't did nothing here to say no more." As soon as I set it up that same night, I hit Chris and said, we gonna do this next week. He said, "That's a bet. Let's do it." Well, I asked Chris, could we do it? And he said, "That's a bet." So we here now, and I appreciate you keeping your word and your support all the time. So tell me, kicking it straight off, tell me how you came up with doing this book.
Yeah, the book is interesting, and it's like I wasn't even looking to do no book. Mm-hmm. That's the crazy part. I dropped the book in 2017. I ain't really want to do that one either. Mm-hmm. I wasn't ready, just how the universe works. It's just like, when it's your time, timing meets preparation. And I already had like ideas in my head. And shout out to my big brother D Watkins. He was working on his book at the time, which is out now. And he was like, "Yo, I got this, this new publisher that I'm working with. The editor's fire. They got a lot of ideas about a photography book, but I want to plug you in." And so when I came in, they just was like, "What you want to do?" And initially the books was supposed to be like a collaboration between me, the publisher, and like Martin Luther King, a book around Martin Luther King and what he has inspired. But, things shifted and changed, and they came back with like, "Well, there's no book idea on the table. What you got?" And so I'm like, "I don't got nothing." So I was like, give me a day, and then I just thought about like the inspiration, and I was like, well, the first book I did was A Beautiful Ghetto, was more so was centered around West Baltimore, Freddie Gray, what we went through in 2015. Let's broaden that since post George Floyd. I had my second time cover. Let's do something more broad. I want to make a book that shows that the plight and the issues and what we faced in Baltimore on a global scale. Right. So let's talk about that.
Right. So with your initial, I know you said they came to you with the idea for the book first. But what if they didn't come with you with the idea? Would you think you ever would have did this?
Yeah, I would have did it probably later. Like I'm like one of them people. I'm like real slow. Like so, like I like to like sit on a project for a while, let it marinate, and I hate making, like, I understand the importance of making mistakes, but if I can move slower and just avoid them, I will. So I probably would have did this book. But I probably would have did it like 3 or 4 years later. Okay, gotcha.
And I know we was talking on camera, but this basically is all the photos from, you said, what years are these from?
Yeah, I think my very first protest was I think 2014, all the way up till last year, just documenting protests and being on the front lines.
Okay. And so when you do these, when you take photos, even with this and just period, you save everything you shoot. You take.
Yeah, I back up everything I try to do. I make mistakes sometimes. I might like delete something by mistake, or I might format a card or erase something by mistake. But I literally try to keep everything that I shoot, even images I might not deem worthy or I feel like not strong. I still keep them because they, what I find is that if I get to self-reflect on, every image has a purpose at one point in time. If it's a mistake I feel like I made, I usually, if I can revisit it a couple years from now, a couple months, it might be better taken.
Right. So what did you learn? Son, that just came to my mind. What do you learn about the city, the people, and yourself when you do photography? Like, I'm sure when you took pictures during the protest, you seeing a lot of people, and then you seeing things that you might not, you might have seen your whole life, but you ain't really pay attention to until you got taking with that camera. So what's some stuff that you learned about all of that?
Yeah, I feel like the camera like really brought me closer to people, because I think like growing up is like, if you ain't really rock with a person, they know a person. I think we talked about this on the last talk. If you ain't grow with a person, well, our generation is a little different now with social media, but everybody's like, oh, you might speak to over something, like, but you real closed off. Like through the camera, the camera used to like bring people to me. So like people be interested, what you taking pictures of? You know, and it just start a conversation. So when I met so many different people from different walks of life, that showed me how vast Baltimore really is and how diverse it really is. You know, like people complain, ain't nothing to do in Baltimore. I'm tired of seeing the same people. Yo, I can move in Baltimore and not be seen by people I don't want to be seen about, because there's so much going on that you, just because you aren't hip to it, or that might not be your speed. And that's what the camera has done for me, is to allow me to, from everybody from the Westmores, you know, congratulations to him. That's big bro. He wrote for my, Westmore wrote for my first book. We was on Oprah together. Like that's, well, he was physically there. I was there in spirit. And they just showed my interview. But Westmore been showing me love, supporting me. Done came see me speak in New York. We built a friendship, but that camera has started the gateway to fostering that friendship. Down to, I can, you know, the camera allowed me to get invited to rooms I normally wouldn't be in because of the impact of an image. So like I've been invited to, you know, circles of, you know, things that had to deal with community relations, community events, you know, being able to do art shows, meetings with City Hall, all these different things. So what art does, it can be a vehicle to move you into different spaces, but it really gave me a medium, and it is really is a conduit for me to better understand my community, where it has kind of like pushed me to try to show more love and have more understanding. You know, when you can think that you've gone through everything in the world, but the camera can reveal so much more, and then I document things that I couldn't even imagine. So I try to like find balance in my humanitarian helmet, you know, still stay true to myself, but the camera put me in a lot of different spaces, which and ideally made me love Baltimore even more.
Right, I can see that. I can see it, 'cause that's why I asked that, because it'll make you appreciate everything more. And like you said, it open up doors, and then you seeing stuff, because Baltimore really small, but like you said, it's a lot of stuff that we only go where we know. So it's really, if you don't really tap into other stuff, you would never know. That's one thing I would say social media bless us with. Like it shows a lot of stuff we might not know about, from restaurants to people that might be from here that we ain't never know. It's hella shit. It's definitely it's a gift and a curse. But
because you be mad when a new spot pop up and then everybody blow it out the water, and you like, come on, yo, you making the spot hot.
Everybody hate that, but it is what it is. It's only some food. So to upcoming, I know we was also talking about when you first started, a lot of people that you knew wasn't really fucking with the whole idea of you taking the pictures and all that, or letting you do that kind of thing. So what do you say? I mean, you could talk about that, but also what you say to an up and coming person that want to get into it? Because I feel like, you know, everything is trendy. So there's a lot of people that do stuff for the love of it or from interest. But then when you see like for instance, somebody might say, oh, he take pictures with everybody. He was Steph Curry, but I want to do it because he doing that. But do you really love what you're doing, or do you really want to be a part of this? So talk about a little bit about all of that. Yeah,
like in the beginning, it was tough, yo, like, because everybody knew me for being just like a little knucklehead person that used to throw parties. He be around. He know a lot of people. He from over west. He, you know, like, everybody has their own thought process of like who you are or how they digest you and stuff. But like being an artist was never one of my hats. So like when I first started, everybody was making fun of me. Man, nobody took. Man, no, I ain't. You want to take pictures of what? You know.
And I didn't mean to cut you off, but you said in the last interview, you was basically saying you went through a lot of phases of being in the different stuff.
Yeah.
In this land, and this was the one that kind of like you found your place with this.
Yeah, like, I literally feel like I was just one of them persons. I feel like a lot of times they don't get to live long enough to, you know, I made a lot of mistakes. So I was able to experience the street stuff, the issues, you know, wanting to be a street dude, wanting to be outside trapping. Nah, that's not what I want to do. I lived long enough to really be like, all right, this is my jam. This is where I'm at in life. This my bucket. It's a blessing to live long enough, and they don't, you know, and then not having that support from people that you might have went through some of them processes with, they're not, man, don't you gotta go to art school for that? That's kind of goofy. You know, and
they don't get it.
They don't get it. But it's like but then you got those ones like, you know, Josh Austin. I always bring him up, always shout him out. That's my guy. You know, we went to high school together. We always been friends, but he got me hip to the art. And then I got to meet the Rags, the Da Vinci tattoos, you know, the Tims, the Blacks. All those guys was tattooing, doing clothing lines and art. You know, even you think about like Larry, stuff like that. It was like we wanted to wear it, but it was like, yo, that man's creating art. He's designing. Right. But in our mind, we just want to fly. Exactly. When we get in our hold your own, you feel me? Like, can we get ours to the right? You don't think about the art and the time that's put into that, and then you know, and it was like. When I found the camera, it was like, yo, no, this is mine. And I ran it up. You know, it changes your ecosystem and people you hang around. But then when you find it, it's a lot of hard work and that you got to put into it. And, you know, social media, when you talk to like older generation photographers, because one thing I would tell all the younger generations, the first thing you want to do is study who came behind you, you know, and before you, because you need to understand what they went through, how they found their style, everything. You know, it's sports,
you
rap,
the whole basketball,
Yo, you study those people. You know, I think speaking of sports, Kobe is a perfect example. He studied Jordan.
Patting itself behind them.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's what I did. I study, and then I try to find like minds that were into the same thing or interested. And it's cool now, but when I first started, it wasn't cool.
Right. That's a fact. So what do you so a lot of people reach out to you for like advice and stuff and say they want to be a part of
all the time. The one thing that people had to start reaching out to me, you know, because I know how I feel to like not have nobody support you, like other than like or teach you or show you the ropes. No one could show me the ropes. Nobody, because like I didn't know anybody that was taking pictures of like their homeboy shooting dice or like taking pictures of like. Of models or doing the type of work, doing the vast type of work. You had your party photographers. You had dudes that was doing like paternity shoots, that was doing the backdrops. You had a couple guys that might have been shooting models, shooting vixens, but nobody was doing street photography. You know,
most of the real street guys wasn't even gonna let you do that shit.
No, they wasn't. But I had a pot where they was like, I was allowed to like, people would let me like have my camera around. And then it grown to people, you know, Instagram did help my career a lot because people needed pictures to post. And it's like, what's better than a phone picture, a real camera photo? So start doing that and building on that. But you know, when Freddie Gray happened, that's what catapulted me. And the first thing I did was start teaching because I know how I feel. I could literally. One of the main photographers that did help, and I always shout him out, is Chris Cam. He was taking all the party pictures. But Chris Cam actually gave me a studio to shoot in. Yo, Chris Cam was like, yo, I had like one light. And Chris Cam's like, you can use my studio whenever, little bro. I shot stuff down there. He had another studio. I shot some stuff for Larry down there. Like I remember who paid me the first time. Like, shout out to Asia, you know. Strut. When she was affordably expensive, she just started her brand. She paid me. Malika Reed paid me. Larry was one of my first customers that paid me. And it wasn't a lot, it was like $100. Like I didn't even know how to price it. What you got? It all makes what you got. To me, I'm like $100 off a shoot. That's love. That is love. You know, and then like from shooting them, you know, then more people start hitting me up. And then I did a couple parties. I'm like, I don't like doing parties because the people want you to have them party pictures like the next day. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that because I really I started taking pictures of models, you know, and then Da Vinci and Rags and them, they gave, and Ace, the tattoo, they had a studio space and they gave me, and I started shooting in there. And I was studying Basquiat, Andy Warhol, you know, I was studying like people like Jamel Shabazz and Gordon Parks and, you know, Curry May Weems, studying these other photographers and just looking how, you know, people were shooting models and studying that. And then I gravitated to shooting models, but that was one phase, and then I would do that. But then what if I don't have no models? I still had the urge to create, and that's when I turned to street photography.
How you feel about Terry Richardson, the photographer?
Oh, you talk
with the glasses.
Oh, yo, did he get canceled?
Yeah,
he got canceled.
That's why I was asking you about it. He got canceled. You like his work though? I know Vaughn was kind of like doing his stuff similar with the white wall. And
Vaughn, you talking about Vaughn? I ain't hear that name in the minute. You talking about that you do all, yo, Vaughn, unruly geek, yo. Like my man Vaughn, it's funny, you know the rapper Bush Dawson?
I feel like I seen that.
Yeah, amazing rapper. His Vaughn married his sister, if I'm correct. But Vaughn was like the pioneer of like early videos.
Yo,
early video. he made everybody want to have a video for a party.
Yeah.
Like
he did a couple of
He did a couple joints. He did one. He did one for me and TC.
Okay.
Like, like he was a pioneer, amazing work ahead of his time.
Yeah,
like
way ahead of his time.
Very ahead of his time.
Was like he would have took off. I don't know how he did, but he would have took off.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna creative back then because I didn't start fooling with the camera till like maybe like 3 or 4 years after that. Yeah, he had it on lock, man. Like, you think about you just think about. I feel like even you think about the charismas and people like that, like they were artists, but it was just like we didn't perceive them that way. Right. They was artists the entire time.
That's why I say ahead of their time because we wasn't there yet. They was there, but that art creative part we wasn't. Really
think about it, I'll never forget. We did a Hot Boys party. It was me, Dovell, Rico, and Gunna, and like somehow
I remember that
this man, charisma Photoshop like a cocktail, whatever them joints called in my hand.
Molotov. I remember that.
Like photoshopping and building these things and. These are things that they taught themselves. They were artists, but it's a ceiling to that.
Yeah,
it's a ceiling to how many party flyers you can do. It's a ceiling what you can do with the camera. And that's when you got to expand beyond that and find. That's the difference between an artist and a photographer. You could be a photographer and not be an artist. True. You could because of just how it's all about maneuvering and how you project yourself to everybody else.
Right. So you got to have a goal or direction you want to go with this, or could it be just I'm taking? Because I feel like based off what you telling me and what you said in the previous and learning your story, it was kind of like right place at the right time and everything just took off and it was like fate, pretty much. Yeah. So if I don't want to say if that riot didn't happen because it could have been any kind of event that did that, but. The doors just started opening up, coming to you after that. So how was it? For one, how was it getting all of that out of nowhere? Like this is a whole new lifestyle for you, for one, and then just having that come to you. What do you feel like you would have been your direction going? Well, what was your direction before that incident happened? Before the riots happened? You was just going to keep flicking, or you had a goal?
Yeah, like at that point, I had already wanted to just from studying. That's why I tell all artists study your craft. Like study it. Like you can, and I'm not talking about study like with a camera is a little different from a paintbrush. Like you can learn all the techniques. You learn the rules to break them. That's that's like something that I think is very, very important. But it's like I had been studying and already picking my career path, like what I wanted to do, and I emulate Gordon Park so much because I watched his career path, how he taught himself coming from the South, how he started documenting the Black experience, how he became so impactful by him documenting the Black experience, took it to another platform that people start paying attention, how he changed the world of journalism, like how he was allowed to be in the mosque. Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad allowed him into the mosque, and the white journalist wrote wording to Life magazine, wrote wording to pictures that he took, but then allowed him to write his own story of how he perceived the Muslims from the photos that he took, and put it in one issue. They put him in the back, but it was just so impactful to have those two correspondents from a white space. That wasn't happening then. It's not happening now. Right. So I start understanding the power of photography. So I start deciding that, even with my model work, I wanted to shoot natural models. I wanted to shoot just people in their natural state. So I wouldn't do a lot of makeup and I wouldn't do a lot of those things. I start really understanding that I really wanted to document and shoot what's in front of me. I want to see what's right in front of me. And street photography gave me that. So when Freddie Gray happened, it happened so fast, but I was already ready for it because I had studied. I wasn't ready for it as far as everything that was coming, but as far as that moment and document, I had the skill set to do it. To go the skill set. But at the time I wasn't aware of the impact that I was going to have, that it was going to transcend, because it was always about Baltimore. And then it was you need to go, we got an interview with Yahoo. My uncle, you got an interview with Yahoo. What? You got to go to New York. Huh? Oh, you got to do this. You need to go down to City Hall. You got to do this.
Coming just left and right.
Yeah, I'll never forget. It's I never forget. I don't even know why I was listening to him. I'm like in my little like hashback Scion, me and G Son. G Son was like, I went to Loyola. I went to Loyola for communication. Yo, listen to me. This is how you do an interview. I'm like riding to an interview like, yo, what are you talking about, yo? Like, and it's like it was like just figuring it out. Yeah. But as I figured out, I continued to study other photographers, career paths of photographers. Noticing, like I noticed early on that. With photography, sometimes some photographers are loved by the person they are photographing, not by the work that they create. Right. And that's something I never wanted to be. I always wanted to be an artist that is what I create and not deemed by the work, but not by who I'm shooting or what's. But it's me, and that's what I try to build my brand around.
So what makes a photo good?
That's tough because that's something that I thought a photo, I used to think when I first started that a good photo had to be clear, had to be sharp, and everything had to be done right. But no, a good photo is actually, if you can get whatever you're trying to reveal, whatever you're trying to show, can get to the viewer that you want the viewer to be. Because sometimes some images might go over some people's head. It might not be for them. Every piece of art is, and that's why art is so subjective, because it's not for everybody.
Like art pieces, when you like people be staring like this is amazing, you be looking at
it's a white cube, but the velocity of the entanglement,
they got different though, right.
So like
some of them be bluffing though.
Some of them be bluffing, but it's like art. Art is like one of them things. Is like. Everybody's going to digest it different. What I do is my work is for like the everyday person, but I want to make you think. I want to make you feel. And like, that's all that matters to me. As long as I can capture you long enough to like make you want to have a conversation. Like, I don't really care if you like the photo or not, but if you talking about it,
that's me.
If you're triggered by it or you stirring and you thinking, my job is done. But everybody work is not that. And that's what people got to understand. Like, some people might look at me like, why is he's, like people was upset that like a couple years ago, Time like named me one of the top 50 photographers in the country, and a lot of people was upset about that. Like, his work's not that good, but it's like the work not for you.
You're right.
Like one of the like a lot of photographers. You listen to a lot of OG photographers coming out of the 70s. They'd be like, I don't think about the viewer of my work. I think about myself. I think about what I want to see. And
that should be in your house.
So it's like I create and I hope you like it type of thing. So it's like ideally in the photography world, you decide your path and you create towards that. You find your audience and then you exploit that.
So it's really no right or wrong way.
No, it's just all about what you deem, but it's like it's with the photography world, you only can jump in too many circles. Like you can't be shooting vixens all greased up in a hotel room with with their ass out, and then turn around and do and then try to be like, oh, I want to shoot for Time Magazine.
That ain't going to.
It's not going to fly.
Right.
That's just the structure that's in the photography world.
Right.
Even amongst like photography is ran by white men. Like they are the elite. They run it. That. With so many other places. So it's like being black artists, we always have to definitely, black women photographers have to, and black and brown women photographers have to fight more than anybody. But even just being a black man photographer, I have to fight for jobs and stuff like that. Like, institutions will send a white photographer to shoot black people faster than me.
When they supposed to be the one that can relate more than the white guy.
No, but it's interesting, but that's how it's perceived. That's racism, and when you think about it, it's a construct that's so interesting because like if I'm walking down the street, right, I will if I come to shoot, black people in the hood will be more. Oh, this white man got a camera. What you do? You work for HBO or something? What you do? You work for the news? Come on, yo, let me give you all the camera, yo. Yeah, sometimes they see me, they be like,
Rush, well, get on my face.
Fuck you, the face. Hey, what you doing? Like, fuck you, where you from? What you doing, right? They want to size you up. So it's like this thing where it's like
equivalent white people with importance.
Exactly, and it happens all the time, and like a lot of people don't talk about that, but that's like something that happens quite often.
Like in the workplace, if you got a white superior, you going to not most, but most people, a lot of people kiss ass. Versus if you got a black superior, you going. Well, he think he better than me type.
Right, I'm gonna come in late. He be all right with it.
Exactly. Like it's crazy, but that
same way in the art world.
So tell us how you pick the people. You got a long list of people on this. How did you choose, and what made you choose these people?
Yeah, one thing that like with art and then it's so many different perspectives, like what it is to be black. And like I always thought, like I didn't realize how messed up Baltimore was until I really started traveling. And I went to like other black communities that probably are black communities, but it's like, damn, you from Baltimore, yo. Like, why are you scared of me? Like, you know, it's just like, it's so many different perspectives. And, you know, growing up in Baltimore, being here all my life, like I went to like BCCC for like a week, like, or like, you know, I never really experienced other places. So through the art, I was able to go to Oakland, Chicago. I was able to go to all these different cities, go, you know, hang with black people in Asia, hang with black people in London, like meet all these different walks of life and the different experiences of what it is to be black. And so what I did with this book is like people say, oh, we want justice for all black people, Black Lives Matter. But it seems simple enough, but it's really not, because everybody's concept of what freedom and being seen is different. So I try to pick writers that I felt like came from different walks of life, may have something different to say, might actually go against the grain of what people think. You know, it's like an essay in there by my boy Lofton down in Atlanta called, I believe the essay is called We Pray to a Different God. But he kind of touches on the fact that, like, yo, you know, he opens up talking about a young black kid who committed suicide because he was picked on for being gay. But it talks about how activists basically don't show up in the space, but they love to quote James Baldwin. You know, and he kind of busts it down and it's saying like, you know, we pray to a different God, you know. But then you got like you know, you look at like everything that happened with the black trans lives, who they feel like they're not being seen. So there's a lot of imagery around their protests where they had to have an entirely separate protest, you know. And then you have people, you know, Fran Hampton, and you know, you see quotes from him, you know, talking more about peace. You might see something more militant from someone else. So it's like, it's okay for everybody to have these different nuances and opinions and stuff. And I find like sometimes as a photographer, I become like the outsider because I'm everybody love me, you know, because I support everybody. So I can go to different protests, different organizations, different organizers. One might be preaching peace and one might be more militant, you know, and they won't agree. Oh, I don't like him. But it's like, I thought we all wanted the same thing.
Exactly.
So what I really wanted.
Martin and Malcolm, two different angles, but they both wanted the same
thing. So it's a very complex but simplistic thing to ask for, but it's very complex how we get there. So I wanted to just show that like we are in this together. But in our actuality, we all have different visions for it.
We want the same goal, but we all want to attain it the same different ways.
Yeah, you know, like I had to put my Baltimore people in there that, you know, like one thing about like D. Watkins, Kondwani, like they my guys. So anytime we do a project, we try to intertwine each other into it. You know, but I got like Dominique Christina, like she's up in Denver, but she's an amazing poet that worked with HBO. Emmanuel Acho, you know, Clint Smith, amazing poet. You know, Jacqueline Woodson, you know, award-winning, you know, Bria Baker, amazing, you know, DeRay McKinnis, who's also from Baltimore, known for all the, you know, Black Lives Matter stuff.
I didn't know he's from here. I thought he was from Maryland, but I didn't know he's from Baltimore, though.
Yeah, he's from here.
Okay.
Yeah, and, you know, of course, I got like my mom in there. Like my mom wrote, I always like try to intertwine how, you know, you got Tark, who, you know, amazing running back turn, amazing writer. I try to balance it out where you got like these like people that some people would deem like, you know, up there, you know, and then you got some people that you might not know about. Right. You got some people more known in the literary world. You got more people known in the activist world. Intertwined with quotes from people that inspire me, like quotes from Maya Angelou, you know, Etta B. Wells, and you know, different people like that. So I try to like balance the book out to show how complex it is, but you know, but yeah, it's just, you know, try to balance it out.
I like that you put different point of views in there, because I think that's like I was having a conversation with somebody not too long ago about church. And they was like it was my friend. She basically grew up. Even to this day, our family is in it, but it's not like they're not in it like we're the holy saint. It's more like the church family. Like we go to all the church events, things like that. And we was just talking about the perspective of, and she was saying like how she didn't even. I don't want to go too deep in it because it get deep, but she was just saying like her perception of you know, church and God and all that it changed. So it's like it's sometimes conversations are deep and they hard to talk about, but you need that perspective, because if you think one way, just for instance, for like I said with church, a lot of times you're raised to think, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, this is how you're supposed to do it, you're not supposed to do this, do that. But if you don't have another perspective, then you blocking out a whole lane of your life that you ain't even if you don't go that way, you still got something that this really goes on. So it's like you gotta have more. The life is about perspective. It's all about how you look at things and what you see in it. So I think it's good to have all different perspectives in this book, because the one person might get this book just because of the photos, and then they start reading. It's like, oh, I ain't never think of it this way.
Yeah, nobody really reads a photography book.
Right.
Look, as I tell everybody, like every time I'm like, yo, please read.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's a lot of words.
You ain't put the words in there for nothing. Like it's definitely, but it goes along with the topic. No justice, no peace. So don't think it's just about looking at something. You want to really know what you're talking about and know what we looking at also. Because if you want to share Baltimore, we get I ain't gonna say the worst. I mean, of course, I'm gonna say worst because I'm living in it. Like, we living here, so we can say the worst. But every time I look at shit now, recently, I've been saying, damn, I see why people be saying this about us. But then, like, before this, I always say on here, my whole purpose of this show is to show that we got much more to offer than just the violence and the crime. But you know, social media gonna put all negative all day long. And the stuff I be saying lately, I be like, damn, this shit really is like that, man. I understand why people say this, but it's always perspective. Like, when you live here, it's easy to tell somebody it's not that bad. But when you see somebody look at everything on Instagram, it's like, you sure it's really not that bad? Like, I really, I'm gonna let you talk, but I was literally on the highway thinking when I was riding past Top Golf, and before they was making it, I was like, yo, please let this be a place that don't get fucked up by us. Like, I don't want to hear about no crime going, because it's like the casinos came, you started hearing about shit down there. We knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. The gambling never do good.
Yeah, like everything, but it's like every single thing. You look on Instagram, you see the fights down Fed Hill in the middle. I'll be like, yo, like,
sometimes that don't be us down Fed Hill.
No, I ain't saying us though. I'm not even us with none of the stuff.
Just in general.
I'm just saying general crime. Period. Like, it's just all you hear about. But it's only what they.
I think it's something in the air too, yo. I really think like I feel like Baltimore was like, that lockdown really took a lot out of it. It's like, yo, we about to do everything. Everybody like, yo, now we out of lockdown. We was in COVID lockdown. You getting all that backed up energy.
I can see.
I got time.
I can see. Yeah, true. I can see that.
I don't know. You been to Top Golf yet?
Nah.
I ain't been yet. I seen like videos, everybody saying they're having a good time.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I seen somebody posted the other day, and I forgot it was down here. I was like, oh, it looked good. Like, I forgot they was literally at that one, but I was like, yeah, it looked good. I just hope we don't fuck up. Like, I wanted this. That's asking for a lot, but I hope it don't. Just because I want us.
Look how long what's the face been out there? I ain't had no incidents out there. The axe throwing place, the place that throw the axes.
True.
I ain't hear nothing crazy out there. And they axes.
What that's they axes. That's in Federal Hill, right? Or
I don't know. I don't know. Is that over east? It's like Hanover Street or whatever, like somewhere over there. But I went for like Employee Appreciation Day, and I'm like, axe throwing.
Yeah.
I had a ball, yo.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they had bed, everything. I'm like, yo, you want?
Get drunk and
but I'm saying that, yo, something, man, you really want to kill somebody going there? Like,
shut that bitch down.
That's what I'm saying. If what's it called? Urban Access. If Urban Access still open, yo, we should be all right with top. True. Keep it open, because I'm like, axe throwing in Baltimore sounds crazy.
And I'm saying everything I'm saying this is all for I'm never against us. So I'm definitely saying I just wanted to be peace.
It's been a crazy year. Like, I just feel like, I think it's crazy everywhere. Definitely,
sure. It is.
It's definitely here. I just think, yo, COVID is like really put a lot of people in a really bad place. People lost jobs got shut down. So I think a lot of people just really fighting to survive, and the lack of like support, the lack of support from.
I agree.
Yeah,
everything.
Everything.
So when we was talking off camera, you was talking about artists have their moments.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that? Because they ain't here. So
yeah, artists have their moments. I always go back to this quote. Like, I use this quote with a lot. Like, when I talk to like younger artists and kids, because I love like talking to like I feel like those middle school, high school kids, like that 7th to like 10th grade, like it's a special time, and it's like they be and now with social media and like they're so endowed with so much more knowledge than we were. But I always bring up this quote, like Andy Warhol said, like in the future, I think he said like in the 80s or something. He said in the future, everybody gonna be famous for 15 minutes.
Okay.
You know, and it's like now if you really look at it, it happened, right?
Yeah, hell yeah, that's crazy.
So it's like you got to think about it. You know, like how many people go viral? Like going viral used to be like, oh shit. Like, you know, when it happened for me, I was like, yo. It was like viral sensation. I'm like, what? But like now it's like, yo, I sit and I listen to people. A person will get 100,000 retweets. Oh, I went viral, yo. Yo, you still gotta go to work tomorrow. It don't mean nothing. Sometimes for some people, and that's where you know, you ever seen like people go viral and they say, yo, click the link. Yo, no one's clicking the link, bro. If something go viral, somebody come on, yo, I'm the next rap thing. No one's listening, bro. No one's listening. Some people might be like, oh, this kind of fire, you know, but you have to. Everybody has an opportunity. You're gonna get these moments. It's up to you to decide what is that moment. True. You know, like for me, like the 2015 time cover was a moment. I've had multiple moments, but it's like how people deem like, oh, that was his moment. I was like, oh, it's just a moment. So I set out to prove, like definitely in the photography world, it's like, oh, everybody was telling me, was writing me off. Okay, 5 years later, I got 2 time covers. You know, I got shoes out. You know, I've shot for Vanity Fair. I've shot for New York Times. I got work in the Smithsonian.
Doing everything.
I'm still here. I'm still working. I've given out 600 plus cameras. Still here, like still working, and still building. So I always tell my artists, is like, when you get those moments, don't treat it as like treat it as a moment. Like this is just a moment. Don't think like this is because people gonna put that ceiling on you real quick and try to shut the seal and say this is the highest he's ever going to be. Keep going, and they keep going to say, oh, this is a moment. Enjoy it, celebrate it, you know, and then keep it moving, keep pushing. Every artist gonna have those moments, but what happens is a lot of artists are not ready, or they get digested by it. And what I mean by that is like, I've been there. The time cover was so much publicity. I thought I was about to be a millionaire. You can like, I thought like, yo, it's up from here. It's up from here. You know, everybody. It dissipated so quick. You know, it was there for a couple years. Then it was like this. All the editors, the writers, wasn't hitting me back. Wasn't when it happened. I was. Oh my God, I'm working with Devin Allen.
Do nothing. I
didn't do nothing. It was just there. But eventually, it stopped.
Right.
People stop thinking about you. You gotta keep working, and that's why it's important to understand when you're working, when you're in any art form. Try not to tie yourself to a single moment, a single person. You know, try to, you know, find tunnel vision. Stay focused. Don't let that blind you to keep going.
Right.
You know, we've seen it happen time again in the music business. Person get that one big single. I be seeing the TikTok little videos like, yo, why I forget about them? I was like, yo, I forgot all of that song was popping.
The attention span is so much shorter now, so you gotta keep going.
It's a blip. So you gotta build that longevity, build that audience, and stay true to your artists as you build. And I study artists, and it's like now these artists, you be like, oh my God, they so big, you know. And I look at like people, like someone came to me the other day was asking me about Hank Willis Thomas, right? And I'm like, Hank Willis Thomas is probably one of the greatest living black artists right now. What are you talking about? Like, he's amazing. You know, they're like, oh, I know you hip. I just found out about him, yo. He just started popping. Like, no, Hank has not. He been out. His mom is Deb Willis, one of the most prolific black women of education when it comes to photography. You just didn't know. You got to study. Hank been putting in the work. People like, yo, you know about Derek Adams? Derek Adams, oh, that's the bro. That's you know. Yo, he just blew up. He got this big grind. He about to do all this stuff in Baltimore. Yo, Derek Adams been grinding for years. He from Baltimore. He from Park Heights. Been in New York for years. Amazing painter. I'm talking about Jay. If you look at some Jay interviews, you might see something. Like Derek, that good. He
got some of his artwork. Jay got some.
Yes, Derek Adams. It's from Park Heights.
I ain't look him up.
You know, he moved to New York years ago. You know, he's fixing up a space in Baltimore where like you can actually like he's gonna eye carve black history. So like I did it like all your podcasts, he's gonna build a database that we can store all our photography and black art. And then he's building a house where artists can come and study from around the world, and you can come and study. You know, it's all these amazing artists. It's like, but they sell a big piece. They have their moments, and then they keep creating, keep creating. Yeah. So like I advise all artists is like when you get those moments, you get those likes, or you might shoot that famous person. Keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Real shit. I'm gonna look the Derek up now.
Yo, Derek Adams, man. Like
older guy.
Yeah, older guy. Okay. You know, black don't crack, so he look young. Okay. But that's my guy. He's a Gordon Parks fellow. Hank's a Gordon Parks fellow. These are guys that I look up to. I've sat on panels with them, done interviews with them, you know, and these are guys that just show like they have worked all over the world, you know, and these are amazing artists. You know, Derek being from Baltimore and accomplished what he accomplished, he's still creating.
How do you become a Gordon Parks fellow? They gotta invite you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they gotta see you out. Like you can be like introduced like one of my favorite photographers like Dre. Like I really like was adamant about him becoming a fellow. So like he was already on their radar, but I was, you know, just adamant about like his work reminds me so much of Gordon, and it was like he's the truth. And so I got to introduce him this year as one of the new fellows. Okay. So like with them is they try to. It's not so much even about the work or the medium. It's more so about do you remind them of Gordon? You have some similarities as far as like, you know, his work was amazing, but like he did stuff like where he went and documented a place in Brazil for work and took a liking to this kid named Fabio who had like a couple weeks to live, flew him back to America with him, and then helped raise money for him to get all the surgery he needed so he can continue to live. That's the type of time Gordon was on. You know, I believe it's Fabio, the Fabio story.
That's what's up. Dang, yeah. I ain't know. I gotta do my own homework. That's what's up. Because you would never know, but I think that's why it's important for people like you and people that's like us to be in these fields, because we would never know. If you wasn't doing this, it's 90% of the people around us wouldn't know nothing about photography or Gordon Parks and in our age bracket, I would say. Because when I shared our first interview with my father, he was like, yeah, Gordon Parks was serious. That was a man back in the day of such and such. So I was like, yeah. And I didn't know he was hip to it, but I know he into everything. But I think we only know what we see and what we know. So it's like if you don't have nobody near you or somebody relevant to you that's involved with something, you ain't gonna think twice of it unless it finds you. So it's super important. Like I said, perspective is everything. So talk about that shoe. You just mentioned your shoe real quick. You got your 5th shoe about to come out with Under Armour. Talk about that relationship and how this ended up being your 5th one.
Yeah, like the Under Armour relationship has been fostering for a while. You know, since the beginning, like of my career. You know, Steve Batista, Brown Bourne, you know, and like KP, Kevin. They found out about me, you know, through this guy Thomas Harris, who's a good friend of mine now, and of a homie. They found out about me through the Time cover, and they was like, "Yo, this kid is like about to blow. We need to invite him to campus and all this stuff." You know, and I got to meet like, you know, just the campus walkthrough. My uncle did like the campus walkthrough, got a bunch of free gear. You know, we would just come chill on campus. I met like my boy Ron Johnson, you know, got to meet a lot of the coworkers, and they was like, well, you got a passport? And I'm like, no. It was like, all right, well, you going to Asia with Steph Curry. And that was like the first time I worked with them. They was like, all right, well, what you doing that couple weeks? Well, nothing. What's up? All right, well, you going to San Diego to shoot Carnelo. So I went to like shoot Carnelo in San Diego and got to watch him play basketball. He was horrible. Like he used to stick to boxing, but he was horrible. He definitely used to stick to boxing. This was like 2015. Okay. And then so I was like, all right. Around the same time, DeRay had connected me with Michael Skolnick, who was the president, I believe, of Global Grind. He was doing a lot of philanthropic stuff.
I used to try to work for them back then. I sent him. I tried to do an internship when I was in college, but I ain't.
Look, if you still want, he not doing that no more, but I can definitely connect you with him. Okay. He a good guy. He was doing a lot of philanthropic work, and he somehow found my GoFundMe. DeRay, I just had met DeRay, connected us, and then through Rush Card, like he like literally like bought donated like a $20,000 grant so I can teach inner city kids photography. You know, like he pulled up, like I had Michael Skolnick like on Curry and Cumberland, you playing basketball at the basketball court. It was a funny thing. I just got like this white bald head guy hanging with a whole bunch of black kids playing basketball, hanging up.
At least he was cooled up to do that though. But
it was hilarious.
You were saying, go ahead. I ain't
yeah. So you know, and when that happened, a lot of the kids was like, man, I want to learn photography, but they found out about me shooting stuff and all that. They was like super tapped in. Yeah. You know, it's funny because like, some of them kids are like 20-something years old now. At this point, like one of the kids, one of the funny kids is like we did Carmelo Anthony book cover. Like Carmelo not actually sitting on the steps. It's one of the kids from back then. They played ball. I had to stand in, and then we had to Photoshop Melo because it was during COVID.
Okay.
But and I was like, yo, like. It's crazy because it was like just like 3 years ago. Like 3 years ago, nobody was taking me serious with photography. But then I started doing, you know, Cleon had bluffing ass niggas, and me and Josh was doing the poetry. Now you had the commentary. It started getting cool. We was making little T-shirts and shit, like City of Gods. You know, everything was going good. But it's like now kids like really want to be underneath of me. So I was like, yo, I ain't about to like. I would feel bad to like Freddie Gray died. I got this like platform now, like I want to give back. So I decided to stay in Baltimore. But I went to like Steve Batista and was like, bro, like I really need a job. I want to separate the art from this, so I don't want to like, you know, kind of conform or go against my moral compass, like selling out like images that I really don't want to sell to like make a living to do work in the community and stay here. Right. And Under Armour was like, well, hire and freeze while you work here. So I've been working at Under Armour since 2016. Okay. And then I'll never forget like my man Tobias and my man Paul and a couple of people in the company was like, yo, we want to highlight you for Black History Month. And it's like, I'm one of the people, like, I like to get my shine on, but it's like, yo, certain stuff is just like, it's a certain level of like uncomfortability. Like, that's a little bit too much. Like, you know, I like to shine a little bit, but I don't want like,
not in the forefront.
You know, it's too much. It's just like, that's just how I am. So it's like, when I want to pop my bottles, I'm going to pop my bottles, but it's not about to be in the cut. I'm a stunt when I need to, but it ain't going to be all the time. So I was like, no. And I was like, around this 2019, and I'm like, yo, it was like just like, I don't know what it was. It was like a record number, like a whole bunch of teenagers was getting killed. Like a lot of young brothers getting killed. I'm just like, man, like the narrative around the youth, like in 2019, post Freddie Gray just was crazy. And I just was like, yo, can we change that narrative? How can we change that? I said, you know what? I said, I know two brothers that's doing good things. Coach Mookie. Coach Mookie, the reason why I quit my job. Coach Mookie, I was working with, everybody worked at my job. We was working out Emerge out Columbia with young adults, with adults with autism and intellectual disabilities. Man, like shout out to Rags who never was on work on time to relieve me. But I could work at night all night and then, you know, go take pictures. And I remember Coach Mookie was like, man, quit this job, yo. You got something coming for you. It was crazy because he was signed Under Armour from working with Bill, with Will Barton. And then he started hit the junior NBA, Team Thrill, all that stuff, and coaching the kids. And I turned into this. We both, but I quit because he was like, listen to your mother. She's telling you quit.
And he was working there too?
He was working at HR. Okay. For real. And I quit. So I was like, and at the same time, I was blowing up at Under Armour. You feel me? I used to always run into Tank and Fiddle. And then like Tank was coming into his own. So I see Tank and Fiddle. I like photograph Tank and all that. And then, but around that time I had built a really good relationship, like, you know, with Coach Calvin. So I was like, I wanted to highlight Coach Calvin and Coach Mookie because, you know, like I remember people like Lowe's, like that boxing Lowe's. Boxing Lowe's. Like my guy, rest in peace. And like and just Upton Gym and like how many, you know, how he would have the kids in there. So I'm like, I would go in there with Tank, shooting him, and went to London with them and everything. So I'm like, yo, like, that's crazy. Like, you really been coaching Tank, and then y'all in London. Like, that's your coach. Yo, or just like Mookie, like, really coaching kids, and they playing at IMG. You got, like, NBA prospects, bro. You sending kids to, getting kids to college. Let's highlight them and the kids. So basically what I did was like photograph the kids and then use like the video component to highlight them. But then I put in people like that was inspiring me, like Terry Hosley, very inspirational. Everything he did with Free Smoke, even like comedy wise, like he was like always been ahead of his time, you know. So put T. Hosley, made him a part of the video, worked in like Candace Walker, who can hoop, and she was like recruiting a lot of, for the basketball team.
A lot of kids in the city too.
Yeah, so like that was like the whole Under Armour collab. So like the new collab is like more so like.
Before you go, y'all no, I want you to finish, but y'all relationship came full circle. You and Mookie, Coach Mookie, but you said,
Coach Mookie, like he believed in me and was like, I always tell him that, like, yo, the reason why I quit that job. If I went out, I probably would have ended up working, trying like worry about bills, but like I ain't have a job. I was like literally rocking out with straight photography, banging out, doing jobs, doing what I can do. I learned how to start trying to do my interviews better. Okay. So I would like sit down, talk to like D. Watkins. I would sit in the mirror, like go over like questions I knew I was going to be asked, try to get better with public speaking, try to like gain that confidence. And that was like another revenue that held me over, and I was able to make money off of that. So by the time when Under Armour finally hired me in 2016,
you was ready to go.
I needed the bread. I was a star. Look, one thing I don't like is a starving artist, man. Like that, I hate that. But if it wasn't for Mookie, he was like one of them people. It was like, we both went to Forest Park, same neighborhood. So having him like another. You hate from your mother. It's like it's family. You gonna figure it out. Mom's gonna have them words. But like to hear like from a brother, like an older brother, like nah, bro, like. Yo, come on, yo. Come on, yo. This job here is gonna pay the bills, but no, get out of here.
That's holding you back.
Yeah.
But go ahead though. You about to go into that.
Yeah. So like I'm one of the people where I just do the work, keep my head down, and when opportunity come, I'm gonna put it together. So like the new shoe is like a little different because it's not around Black History Month. This shoe is more so like a Under Armour classic.
Okay.
So when they asked me about the shoe, it was like, yo, this is the first shoe that I had. It was the Gemini. Because. We was rocking, like, people were rocking the sweatsuits, but we wasn't really rocking Under Armour shoes. Like, I told them that. Like, they would try to give me, like, stuff sometimes. I'm like, man, I'm not wearing this show. Like, I'm not.
Slick.
Give me some all black. Like, but, Gemini was, like, one of the first shoes that I saw that I was like, yo, y'all got something right here. So, when they went in the community, saw, like, a lot of people was rocking the Gemini. They was rocking the navy blue ones, the gray ones. They had some all black ones. That silhouette. But like, and that's something that I feel like in a lot of sneaker coaches that all sneaker brands search and try to create until they find a silhouette and they rock with it. It's a little different now, but like Nike got, they got the Blazer, they got the Project Nike, they got Air Force, they got so many different silhouettes. They can always bring back the Huarache. Right. Adidas got Stan Smiths, they got shell head, shell toes, they got. Even Puma got the Clyde. They got silhouettes that could bring back. Under Armour didn't have no silhouette. And I'm like,
flag shoe.
Exactly. The Gemini, I feel like could be like that's one of the staples of a flag shoe.
I think it is. It is.
So when my man Steve Seegers, who's works on the Curry team, was like, we want to bring the Gemini back. Like, how you feel about it? I just was like, yo, like. I remember when I first started, like, really went out before I really started working with y'all. When I really started wearing it, when y'all started giving it to me, but. This was like the first shoe that I was like really rocking and faithfully rocking. It's comfortable. And it was, I feel like y'all took it out the market and changed it too fast. A lot of times you get a shoe that you like, the brand will change it. Like when you can have like multiple iterations of it. Like the Jordan 1s, the Dunk. Like person will buy that. It's certain shoes that somebody.
That certain shoe. They don't want you to keep switching and flipping and all that.
You're going to buy every single time. You're going to keep it somewhere, right. And so I said, yo, I want to keep it traditional. We're going to tweak it a little bit. So the new shoe, which is a Gemini, which I was like, and I'm a Gemini too, so I'm with all the smoke. Ideally, the collab will be, something that we're looking to is going to be like just Baltimore DMV. Okay. Something that they envision. And so basically, like my shoe is called Friends and Family. Okay. And it's basically like the all gray. And I'm a fan of because as an artist, if I can be walking down the street, if I take a picture, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get into photography mode. I fry my shoes. So like I love like an off-white like soul So like we did like an off-white sole, which was pearly white. And then I believe the logo used to be like either white or like a gray. We did like a 3M gray on the logo. And then we just added like some trimming gold to like the technology points and like the tassels. Keep it real simple, because I'm like, you think about like the New Balance, and you think about some of the silhouettes of Baltimore. There's certain things that Baltimore people keep in the can to throw on when they go out. So I wanted to keep mine really simple. It's other colorways that we're gonna bring out. We're working on something that's matching some of the teams. The Baltimore teams can say, well, we ain't got that many teams, but ideally we want to launch that next year. Right. I've been they've been sending me copies here and there, just as friends and family. The biggest thing is like we trying to build like a culture, like something that's like beyond just like, oh, buy because it's a parable, make people feel like they're a part of the story. I think a lot of brands forget that, Ideally, if you look at like Nike and what Nike has been doing with the Air Force, finally giving Baltimore their flowers, I think that's important for brands. Facts.
Put them on the map.
Right.
Don't forget.
Look, but they ain't want to show nobody love until Virgil said it. Like even Jim Jones was like, man, the Air Force started at Nike. No, Jimmy. No.
They try always stuff.
Right. Virgil said everybody straight. And once Virgil said it, was like, that's law now.
Yeah.
Well, Baltimore been saying it.
Right. They know what's up, man. We always like trendset.
And it's so interesting that if you think about, like just beyond the art, I just think about like even people like Chino, like how him being in like that star space, how he has influence. I've noticed like certain rappers that he be around. Dross a little different. They do a lot of little Baltimore things, and I'm like, you wouldn't do that.
When we go out of town, and when they go out of town, they always flock to us. So they already know.
Shout out to all them.
They know what's up. They definitely know what's up. We also talked about the Emmett Till movie. How was that when you went down there for that?
Yeah, like I'm one of them people. I don't watch them type of movies. Like I'm going to watch it.
I'm over them. When I seen the preview, I was like I'm tired.
I'm going to watch it. It's a little different because this is more so about his mom, to show the power of his mom, and it's more so like a lot of people don't know. They just remember the Emmett Till image and don't realize that his mother really wanted that image taken.
Okay.
She hired the photographer from Jet.
Oh, for real?
She the one who wanted to do the open casket. Okay. You gonna see what I did? Basically, you gonna see what I did to my baby.
Yeah. Okay.
Which changed how impactful photography was. She made a statement that changed the way people look at photography in general.
Okay.
And it's very, very powerful. A lot of us like it's just an image, but you got to think about just the mental space and how strong you have to be to do that. So like the Emmett Till movie basically came about. It was a nonprofit. Shout out to my man Michael Lack. He's very about when he do anything collaboration with movies or installations or any artists. It's all about black businesses and elevated black spaces. So we linked up with like a black-owned gallery called Zucot down in Atlanta, where they got approved imagery from. It was sponsored by and funded by, I believe, Jet Magazine, the Family Emmett Till, the Foundation of Emmett Till, and I was like one of the lead artists in like the goal, and they wanted to touch on the book and stuff like that. So we did that, and then we did a show in a black gallery in LA. So basically, it was kind of like bringing people out, and getting people more known about like the history of Emmett Till, his mom, and everything that happened, and just to have the book be a part about it, or just the fact that we even had to do this work, and the fact that like the work was tied to it. I was real adamant about going down there and building with them and doing that show, which was I think it was received really, 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 really well. It just said that like, I understand the work is impactful, but it does take a toll on the human psyche and mentality. Definitely being black men and black women, like looking at photography from times that you're living, and then to go premiere a film or something. You look at the generational pain and trauma. I can understand it could be a lot, but the work has to be done.
And so that whole purpose of having you down there. So they bought all photographers for that specific point of what you were saying, that the story kind of relies on that, how the impact of that photo was on that story.
No, so basically it was like a whole art show. So it was like a gallery art show, and I had some photos up. Gordon Parks had some images up. The They got approved images from the Till family, so you got to see like younger pictures of Till and his mom and stuff. It was more so to elevate the film, but they'll be, you know, and just talk about like the work, the fact that the work things that they were fighting for then is still continuing, and to just to be a part of that is like, you know, to be a part of that history. You know, it's sad, unfortunate, but you know, it's like a gift and a curse.
Yeah. So in closing, what do you want this book? What do you want people to get from this book? If you was to say somebody that don't know your story, don't know who you are, if you was to walk down the street and hand this book over to somebody, what would you want them to get from this book?
I think the biggest thing to understand that like is that no feat is too small. Nothing you do in the world is too small, too big. I think definitely going on Baltimore, I always felt like my voice I didn't have a voice. We all have a voice. It's up to you to identify what is your God-given gift. And then if you want to, you know, you want to be the change you want to see, use that gift to, you know, combat that, you know. And photography is my gift, so things that are similar to Gordon Parks the photography became a weapon against everything that I hate. You know, poverty and police brutality. So if you do podcasts, you know, you do these different things, and you know, you do that amazing party, you bring all them dope black people together that brought joy, and we had a ball. You know, find your God-given gift, and then you use it to amplify voices and amplify our space and make things better. That's
real. So what's up next for you? What you got up and coming next?
Man, finishing up this book tour. I will be teaching at International Student of Photography in January. Working on teaching at Johns Hopkins for a short semester. So, you know, still giving back, really pushing the book to be used in curriculums inside of schools, you know, with students and just building around the book. So that's the next set, and then the shoe, and then just still teaching, still staying the course.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what's up, man. Well, I appreciate you coming back. And you know, we can do this anytime you got anything you want to talk about or put out. I'm always here. Definitely, you gave a lot of gems for all the photographers and the people in the art. So I hope anybody listening or watching take heed to what he was saying, because that's real. And then you got, you know, this proof is in the pudding. You see him out everywhere. You see him on Instagram, and you can see all that. And everybody that know him know the same story. So it's real deal. So definitely take heed to this. And if you need that inspiration, holla. You open to people reaching out to you, right?
Man, I get a lot of DMs. I know some people like, yo, I hit you on a DM. You didn't get to me, man. I get a lot of them, but I try to respond to all of them. If you run into me, just holler at me. You know, like some people, I don't want you, like you was chilling, man. Just holler at me. I'm like down to earth.
Right.
Just holler at me.
That's what it is. So appreciate you once again, man. We out. We need episodes. We need answers.
We need more episodes too.
Yeah, that too. We out.